Okay, so now we want to learn about magnetism and how that can tell us the inside of the Earth. So let's just do a very short review of what we know about magnetism, so that you should know that if you have a bar magnet, and let's say this is the north pole of it, and then this is the south pole up here, that you could take another little magnet, and then the north end of a little magnet would point in the direction of the south end of this magnet up here. Okay, and then we found out that inside the Earth was a magnet. Now, it's not a bar magnet, but the idea is similar. It generates the same magnetic field as a bar magnet. So the magnetic field of a bar magnet is going to look like this, and then it's coming out the north pole, and then it's going in the south pole. Okay, and then surrounding this magnetic field is the Earth. So there's the magnetic field of the Earth. Okay, and then if you take a compass, your little compass needle is going to point towards the north geographic pole of the Earth, which is actually a south magnetic pole. And then down here at the geographic south, this is actually the magnetic north pole of the Earth. Okay, so now the question is, how does magnetism interact with a piece of metal which is not magnetic? And it will, because a piece of metal has inside of it teeny tiny little compasses. So every atom that makes up a piece of metal will act like a little compass. And so if you take that piece of metal and you put it into a magnetic field, it's going to start to make those little atoms start to move around and align themselves with this magnetic field. And so what I'd like for you to do is to watch this little video here that illustrates this. So it's going to talk about the atoms that makes up a piece of metal. It's going to talk about domains, and it's going to talk about how you can, when a piece of metal is put into a magnetic field, what do those atoms do? Okay, now that's important because we're going to use that to measure magnetism. So we had the seismometer, we had the gravitometer, and now this is a magnetometer. So a magnetometer measures magnetism. And so this little video is a very simplified version of it, which shows how a metal detector works. But the principle is very much the same as how modern devices measure magnetism. So I need for you to watch that video, and I'll wait. Okay, so did you watch it? Okay, so the idea is that the magnetometer is going to give off electromagnetic waves, magnetism. That magnetism is going to interact with the piece of metal that might be buried under the ground. Then that piece of metal in turn will give off magnetism that will be detected by the magnetometer and will be turned into electricity. And then depending on the amount of metal, you have a certain amount of electricity that will be you will receive, and then you'll know how much metal is buried under the ground. Okay, so let's take a break, and now we'll talk about what do we use magnetism for.